What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe, NeverState.com, and today's video is going to be another one in the do and do not series, except today we're going to cover the overhead press. But before we jump into that, I just want to remind you guys that next week I'm actually leaving for Sacramento, so I will be doing collaborations with both Thrall and Mark Bell. I will be on Mark Bell's podcast, so if there's things that you would like to see us cover, stuff that you would like to see us do, go ahead and leave that in the comments section down below. Also, if this happens to be your very first do or do not video, realize that they are not in-depth tutorials. I have plenty of those on my channel in other places. The do or do not series is just quick fire kind of points, tips, cues, things that you can listen to on your drive to the gym or while you're warming up or while you're rolling out, whatever the case may be, so that's the last things that you hear, the last cues, tips, points, all those things, so that hopefully as you go into your workout, that will be what you think of, that will be what you will perform, and hopefully you will do a little bit better. This video in particular will be added to the do or do not playlist that is on my homepage. But guys, if you're looking for more in-depth stuff, I recently sat down for many hours and kind of stuck all of my videos into different playlists. So if you guys are looking for overhead press help or squat help or strongman stuff or conditioning or motivational stuff, just go over to the playlist tab of my channel and you'll find extensive stuff there where literally it lays out like a library of just lifting education stuff. Junk. But it did take me a really long time, so please go check it out. And then finally, before we get into this, guys, I've been trying to do a lot of things to enhance the channel and just make it better. And one of those things has been adding timestamps in the description down below and adding them to the comment section. So if you guys have stuff that you already know from this video, but you want to jump later in it, I don't want you guys watching stuff that you don't want to watch, and I certainly don't want you missing something later in the video because you didn't have the patience to sit through it. So if you guys go check that out, you can jump around wherever you want. I'm trying to make this as much of a library so that you guys can come back and just use it as a resource for your lifting. So those timestamps are down below. All right, so here we go. The very first thing that I want to see you doing on the overhead press is fixing your grip. So a lot of people, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that people try to use too wide of a grip, and I know it makes sense because it shortens the range of motion. However, you do not have the biomechanical strength there. Much like pillars on a building, if you are putting something above your head and your arms are slanted, then most likely you're not getting the force output that you potentially could. For that reason, much like on the bench, I think most lifters can benefit from bringing their hands in just a little bit. However, if you go too far the other way, then you end up doing a stupid sort of, I don't even know, that's like a atrocious, don't do that. Now, of course, it's gonna vary a little bit from lifter to lifter because we're all built differently. However, for most people, your hands are gonna be just outside your shoulders, and as you push that bar up, your arms should be pretty much perpendicular to the barbell. But no matter whatever jacked up thing you're doing with your grip width, I do want you squeezing that barbell as hard as possible because like I mentioned in every other video, guys, your body works synergistically. If you're squeezing that barbell, you will get more power output. If you don't believe it, just try it. And then the third and final thing that I'm gonna mention about the grip is that some people have better success on the overhead press with a false grip or a suicide grip, and all that I'm basically saying is you're going to take your thumb out of the equation. Now, for some people, they say the bar feels better in their hands, they can get more power, whatever the case may be. I will say, for most people, the reason why this is because when they're holding the barbell with their thumb rack, they're letting it sink too far into their palm. If that bar is sitting far into your palm, you don't have bone structure underneath of it, and so when you go to press, you're getting a lot of springy, almost like you're trying to squat standing on top of your mattress. It just isn't good, right? You want to get as much bony structure underneath that barbell as possible. Just like if you're punching. If you're going to punch, you want to roll your hand like this so that you have straight bones lined up, so as you make impact, everything goes straight back. If you punch someone like this, you should probably lose my number. No lie, Conan just freaked out. Still a man, buddy, don't worry, calm back down. Now, personally, I never recommend that anyone use a false grip or suicide grip on any exercise except maybe pull-ups. However, if you are gonna use it, I guess overhead press is better than bench press because at least if the bar slips out, hopefully it's gonna fall in front of you instead of on your throat. You can give it a try or you cannot, really doesn't matter to me, but what I will say is no matter what you're going to do, wrap your thumb or not wrap your thumb, just make sure that that bar is actually sitting above the bones of your arm instead of in your palm. The second thing that I do wanna see you doing on the overhead press is get all your breathing and bracing out of the way before you take that bar out of the rack. There is breathing time and there is working time, but the two do not get along. Now, if you watch this channel at all, you know how big of an advocate I am of breathing and bracing. However, on this, it is more important than just about any other time because you have the bar in the front rack position, and that is about as weak as you're going to get in just about any movement. So, in order to combat that, we want your core as big and as strong and as thick as possible, and we're gonna do that by sticking air in it. Now, if you're watching this channel, it should probably go without saying, but you can never get as much air into your belly when you're under load than you can without. So for that reason, what I would encourage you to do is get as much air into your belly as possible, then swing under that bar, brace it down, and stand up like you mean it. Now, you are not gonna let this breath go until you get at least one press done. maybe more. However, at this point, since you are holding your breath, you're going to need to get in a hurry, and we're gonna slam points 3 and 4 together because they're gonna come at you like this. The first one is that you get a 2-step drop coming out of this rack. There is absolutely no reason to be standing around dancing like a cat in a litter box. You're gonna take 1 step back, another step back, and that's it. No dancing, nothing else. Those 2 steps clear you from the rack. Getting any further away is not gonna help you. That's it. You get 2 steps, done. However, once you do have those 2 steps, you need to flex your butt. You need to think of your body almost like a stick. A stick breaks at the weakest point, which is typically the middle, and the middle of your body, if we're talking about it as a stick, is going to be your waist, where you naturally hinge anyway, so it is not a good thing when you're trying to support weight in front of you in the front rack position. In order to help your body kind of hold this weight, you need to link up your posterior chain, and one of the best ways to do that is to flex your butt. This also aids in bringing your hips further underneath you, which is gonna make it easier to get that bar over top the middle of your foot later at lockout. But guys, if you have a heavy barbell in this situation, you're not flexing your butt, it's gonna be controlling you, you're not gonna be controlling it. It's gonna be pulling your butt backwards, which is gonna be bringing that bar forwards. And if that bar comes forwards, then when you go to press, it is going to go forward, which is going to be further off of the middle of your foot, which really means you're absolutely not going to get the lift. So flex your butt. All right, so you squeeze the bar, you took your breath, you unracked it, you took 2 steps, you flexed your bar, it's finally time to press. However, your face is still in the way, so you're gonna need to do something about it. Some people choose to flip their chin up to get the bar out of the path. That is what I particularly do. However, other people like to pack their chin, almost like they're trying to give themselves a double chin. Either way, get this thing out of the way before you start rocketing a bar up, okay? Now, some people don't agree with this, but for myself and all of my athletes, we all push the bar up and back as if we're pushing to a plane in line with the back of our head. Now, there are some experts out there that will tell you that you need to push that bar in a straight line. However, if you're in the front rack position and you push in a straight line, then that bar is gonna end up over top of the front of your toes, maybe even the front of your foot, at which time that's like picking a person up with your arm straight out in front of you. It makes no sense. But in my little world, I try to finish the overhead press with the bar over top of the middle of my foot, and the best way that I found to do that is aim for a point that is like a plane in line with the back of your head. Now, I'm not saying that you push way back behind you or that you really aim for the back of your head. I'm just saying make a conscious choice to push back instead of straight out in front of your face. Also, a note of that, if you guys are looking at the barbell while you're pressing it above your head, you're in a bad position. Don't do that. But even if you do choose to push that bar straight above your head, just make sure that you get your chin out of the way. And it's always important to move your body around the barbell, not the barbell around your body. Do not be swinging that bar out in front of your face to miss it. You need to move your face to let that barbell travel in a straight line. Which brings us to point number 6, which is the cue to open the window and push your head out. As you're moving that barbell up and it clears your chin, that's no longer a problem. As that bar gets to around the crown of your head, it's gonna be time to start trying to get your head back underneath the barbell so that it can stay over top of the middle of your foot. If you're leaning way back, it's gonna be really hard to try to regain that real estate back. And if you give up too far to turn this thing into an incline bench press, you're not gonna get it back and you're gonna miss the lift. But the entire idea of this cue is like you were sitting at a window, you open it up and you stick your head out the window. That's simply it. So that when you finish an overhead press, you should be able to see your ears, your face, everything through that window of your arm. That is really the only way to get horsepower back in the bar. Once you have to kind of compromise it a little bit, sometimes to get that bar moving, if you have to lean back, different things kind of start happening during that fight of the overhead press. But the second that that thing gets near the crown of your head, it is time to start trying to fight your body, your face, your chest, everything back underneath the barbell. Again, if you're looking at the barbell, you're making a massive mistake and you're not lifting nearly as much weight as you could. Open that window, put your head through it. The 7th thing that I want you considering about the overhead press kind of happens later in it, closer to lockout. So you've all been there, right? You get in a fight of your life with an overhead press. You start, the bar rockets up, gets past the crown of your head. You're about 3/4 of the way up, the brakes go on, and it's like the finger of God is saying, not today, son. However, you're not gonna give up, so you start fighting, and you know that if you stick with this, most likely you're gonna get it, but you should have packed a lunch because it's gonna take that long to get this rep. When you're in that position, you're gonna find yourself doing a number of different things. Number 1, you're probably looking at the bar. Stop looking at the bar. Instead of doing that, start trying to force your head forward. Secondly, you're probably up on your toes. And the reason why is because you're saying everything up, but the reason why you're in this fight is because you messed up at the beginning and that bar is out in front of your toes. And so you're literally trying to counterbalance. Your body's literally trying to throw that weight backwards so that you can continue pressing it. However, the weight is winning and it's pulling you forward. Now, all of these things are very likely to lead to misses or very close reps. However, when you do find yourself in that fighting position where You know that you could probably get it. However, you're out of position, whatever the case may be, you're gonna be in a fight for your life. I want you to cue in your head like you were wedged between two immovable objects, all right? You guys are familiar with the cue on the deadlift to push the ground away instead of picking it up, or maybe even on the bench press, people will cue pushing their back into the bench instead of pushing the bar away from them. What I want you to think about on this situation is if you are in a basement with a low ceiling where you are partially bent and you can push up against the ceiling. If you think of doing nothing but just pushing with your arms upward, you're gonna have a certain amount of force. If you think about pushing into the floor, you're gonna have a certain amount of force. Now, if you think about wedging yourself between both immovable objects, that's exactly what I want you to do. That is how you're gonna produce the absolute most amount of force, not only physically, but also it's mentally. You're mentally cueing your body to do something differently than you would otherwise. So when you find yourself in that fight, just picture yourself in a basement with a low ceiling and you're literally trying to wedge yourself between and crack the plaster. Just keep pushing, 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 and you'll be shocked in how that can help you win that fight and also put you into a better position because you're no longer just thinking up. It'll oftentimes bring people back off their toes. It'll bring that bar position back and you can actually start fighting your head forward, which will get horsepower back into the bar. All right, and the 8th thing that I want you doing in the overhead press is breathing at the top when you need more air. So we already talked about, you're not gonna take a breath from the time that you are squeezing the bar, you step in, you unrack it, take a 2-step drop, flex your butt, get involved in the press, getting your face out of the way, getting your head back through that window. That entire time you are not breathing. But I want you to get as many reps as you can on that first breath. And then when you need more air, I want you to take it at the top at lockout. The reason why is much like I explained earlier, the front rack position is a terrible place to try to take in oxygen. Instead, when you're up at lockout and in waiter's walk position, you are much better off. You can take more air into your belly and even into your chest, which is gonna allow you to be more stable, to generate more force, and it will absolutely get you more reps. The worst possible thing that you can do is bring that bar down to your front rack position and start breathing, whether it is when you walk the bar out or if you are done your reps and you need to try to get a couple more and you're gonna take a break in the bottom rack. Every single breath that you take in the front rack position breaks your body down. It's just taking your butt and sticking it out further and further, further, which is changing that bar path, and it's lessening the chances of you actually getting that rep. Instead, what I want to see you do is when you think you need more air, lock out at the top, get a couple breaths, brace it down, and then drop in for a couple more reps. When you need air, do the same thing. Rinse and repeat as long as you need to, but I can guarantee you that will get you more reps than taking a break in the bottom and getting breath there. The 9th thing that I want you doing to improve your overhead press is to work on the push press and the split jerk and waiter's walks and things like that that are going to overload your muscles. Now, there are a lot of people that consider anytime that you start using legs at all in an overhead press that is cheating. Now, in the strongman world, no matter how you put a weight above your head, it's considered overhead press. So you can push press, you can jerk, you can split jerk, you can do absolutely anything you want. If that thing is locked out above your head, that's an overhead press, all right? Now, I'm not saying that is what you should go by, but I am saying that if you want your strict press to go up, it would behoove you to start getting used to having much heavier weights above your head so that your body builds that tolerance, it builds a stability inside your shoulder girdle. All good things are gonna be happening, and the way to do that is because God gave you some legs, you might as well use them, throw up some extra weight, and either use it for negatives or just get used to pushing those heavy weights. My strict press went up drastically the second that I started learning how to split jerk because I started using heavier weights, and instantly my body was like, hey, we know what to do with this. We're gonna take some breaks off of the smaller stuff. I didn't do any work on the strict press at all. My triceps got stronger, my upper back got stronger, my stability got stronger. Everything got better by doing the heavier weights above head. So I would highly, highly advise you guys, if you do want a strong overhead press, strict, then start using your legs as well. All types of variation. It's not like you're really competing in it, guys. So I would highly, highly ask you guys to take that into consideration. Hands down, one of the biggest game changers for my overhead press. And finally, guys, the 10th thing is that your shoulders are pretty stubborn and they need a lot of work to make this happen. So I would highly encourage you guys, hit some sort of overhead press at least twice a week if you are benching. If you're in the strongman world and you ditch the bench completely, I would be saying hit some form of overhead press at least 3 times a week. Now, guys, I'm not saying go super heavy 3 times a week. Should be something heavy, something light, some variation, maybe sitting on the ground for some Z pressing. But guys, hit them often. Also, having a strong upper back is massive in having a big overhead press because you just have a better foundation to press from. So doing rows, doing weighted pull-ups, things like that to widen and thicken your back, it's gonna be absolutely massive. On top of that, guys, you need to be thinking about something like the front squat or the Zercher squat, something that builds up your posterior chain a lot because the stronger that your front rack position is and the lighter that a weight like that feels, the easier you're gonna be able to hold position and generate force. So you wanna think about it, but a front squat is a great way to drive up your overhead press. And then of course, triceps. You can never have too strong of triceps when it comes to any sort of pressing, whether it be bench pressing, overhead pressing, any type of strongman pressing, all of it, you have to finish with your triceps, right? So make sure you're doing things like waiters walks, pin presses, things that overload those triceps and really, really get you working and working on that stability. All those things are going to do a ton to help your overhead press. All right, so there you guys go. I hope that helps some of you out. That is the do's and do's nots of the overhead press. Now guys, that was not an extensive video as far as teaching goes. There is so much more tips, cues, workarounds, troubleshooting, all of that in my tutorials. Again, go check those out in the playlist if you need extra help. Make sure if you guys missed me on the Ben Coomber podcast last week, just look up Ben Coomber on iTunes or any other major podcast thing. He's on all of them. So that was a really, really cool opportunity. Ben, thank you again for having me on. Like I said, guys, next week is gonna be Alan Thrall as well as Mark Bell. Really, really cool stuff going on, guys. So, guys, thank you so much. If you guys do have stuff that you'd like to see me do in the comment section down below, please, I thank you guys so much for absolutely everything. Please subscribe, please tell your friends, please do all of that because I am trying to grow the channel so that hopefully I can afford to do more collaborations with some awesome people. I thank you guys so much for absolutely everything. If you guys did order a program, I apologize. I'm a little bit slow right now because I'm so overwhelmed. That last video got great response, guys, so I thank you so much. If you guys do need a program, make sure you email me at Brian at, that's not it at all, neversayit@gmail.com, but you will be speaking to Brian, so I'll talk to you guys then. I thank you so much for absolutely everything. I will catch up with you later in the week. Until I do, go out to something amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, people. Feel it? I feel like I left part of my brain in Utah. Go out to something amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'll see you then.